Hello and welcome to the workshop again. Today we're going to be looking at Diavel 1260, a 2019 model, and we're going to be doing the oil and filter change today. So to do this change, I'll just point out where the parts are. We've got the oil filler cap, and we've got the oil filter location. And we've got underneath, we have the oil filter gauze, and there'll be the drain plug just behind that. But to do this job, we've got to first take off the belly pan. So we'll get set up and start removing that. Okay, so that's the belly pan off. The next thing I'm going to do is to drain the oil. So I'm going to crack the oil drain plug first. It's a lot easier to do that without the tray in place, and no oil will come out until we take it all the way out anyway. So yeah. Put the drain plug in. Good. Now we'll undo the drain plug and let the oil flow out. As we do that, well, as our oil comes out, we're going to be looking at the oil itself to see if there's any metal flakes that are showing up, anything that sparkles, but it looks pretty good so far. Okay, so that's the oil is drained out now. The next thing we're going to do is to remove the filter gauze, which sits in behind that plate, which is just here. So we have to remove those 4 screws. So we'll get those 4 screws out and we'll come out when that's done. Okay, next thing to do is get the filter off, and we're using a strap tool here because it's so tight against the case. We can't get a normal filter tool in. We're going to spin that off and empty that of oil as well. We've put a piece of aluminium foil in covering the tray, so as the oil comes off, we're not going to get oil everywhere, except on ourselves. Now the new filter, that's got a nut on the end, so we're not going to have that problem when we come to taking this one off next time. Okay, so the old filter is off. We're going to put the new filter on. So we're just going to fill the filter with a little bit of clean, fresh oil. And once we filled up the middle, we'll put a little bit more around the seal before spinning it on. A little bit of that oil around the seal, and then we'll spin that on in place. torque this up to tension of, I think, 20 Newton meters. Okay, so we've got the new filter in place, and we've just put a little indicator mark just here, a white mark that lines up with the original yellow, so we can see if there's any movement over the next few months on the filter. You also, with these types of filter, these ones with the nut on the end, they have a small hole through, so we can put some lock wire if we want through the hole in the nut, and then tie that up to somewhere like here to make sure it stays in place and doesn't undo. So I've got the sump plug with a new washer, and I've put on some sealant around the threads as well, Yamaha Bond number 4 in this case, so that will seal up, make sure we get no leaks from the sump plug. Okay, so we've got the sump plug tightened up to 20 Newton meters, and now we're going to start filling the oil through the funnel. And what we're going to do is put a bit in, but watch out for this sight glass here. And we're going to wait until we see the oil start to appear at the bottom edge, and then we're going to pause to see how much oil actually flows down. So we can just see the oil started to show in the bottom of the sight glass. So we're going to give that a few moments to see how far that actually goes before we add any more. And it looks like it's stabilized around the middle between the two marks here and here. So I'll add a little bit more and get that up near to the top line. And once we've done that, we'll run the bike, get the oil around, and then leave it to settle again before we check it finally. Okay, so we'll get this started and we'll watch the level as the engine warms up.